Alicia Morgan had always been the kind of woman who commanded a room. Sharp in her decisions, colder in her tone, and known around the company as Ms. Morgan, never just Alicia, she was a perfectionist CEO in her late 30s who had built her company from the ground up. Her life was clean, quiet, and controlled, and lonely. She wasn't someone people casually chatted with. She didn't laugh in office parties or linger in the break room. But she noticed everything. And one evening, during an unremarkable workday, something shifted. Her manager, David Hart, had invited her to dinner at his home as a gesture of goodwill. He said his wife would prepare something special. Alicia didn't want to go. She hated small talk. But she agreed, partly because she was curious. That evening, Alicia stepped into their modest apartment, minimalist yet lived in. And that's when she saw her. Ella Hart, David's wife. She was delicate, not in a weak way, but in a soft, careful sort of way. Her warm hazel eyes never fully met Alicia's. She smiled politely, shoulders slightly hunched, dressed in a long cardigan over a summer dress. Her hands were gentle, her voice quieter than a whisper. Alicia noticed how she moved, gracefully, but with hesitation, like someone always bracing for impact. The dinner was pleasant on the surface. David talked too much. Boasted about numbers, team management, his discipline at home. Alicia listened with a face like stone. But she kept glancing at Ella. And what she saw troubled her. When David's hand landed too firmly on Ella's back, Alicia flinched. She noticed how Ella's smile dimmed around her husband. How she barely ate. How her hand trembled slightly when clearing plates. It was subtle. But Alicia had always seen the things people tried to hide. As she left that night, Alicia stood by the elevator, her hand still cold from Ella's parting handshake. She couldn't stop thinking about it. About her. About what that uneaten dinner meant. Over the next few weeks, Alicia kept seeing Ella, not in person, but in her thoughts. She tried to shake it off, focusing on quarterly reports and team restructures. But something gnawed at her. She started noticing David more, his sudden absences, his irritability in meetings, the way he talked about keeping his wife in line. Then, one afternoon, Alicia overheard a call. David had forgotten to mute. The voice on the other end was female, pleading. Alicia didn't catch everything. But she heard one word clearly. Please. She knew that tone. She'd once heard her own mother say it, many years ago, before she packed her bags and left Alicia's abusive father forever. That night, Alicia opened her laptop and typed a message she never expected to send. Subject: regarding you. Hi Ella, this might be unprofessional, but I'd like to take you out for coffee. No work talk. Just human talk. If that's okay. Alicia. She deleted and rewrote it 6 times before finally sending. Ella didn't reply for 2 days. Alicia waited, checking her inbox more than she liked to admit. On the 3rd day, she received a short response, yes. I'd like that. They met at a small cafe downtown, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. Alicia had chosen it intentionally, it was safe. Unseen. Ella arrived wearing a light scarf and oversized sunglasses, as though trying not to be noticed. She looked nervous but not unwilling. They sat down. Ordered coffee. And for the first 10 minutes, neither said much. Then Ella spoke. He doesn't know I'm here. Alicia didn't ask who he was. She only nodded. I just needed to breathe. Somewhere he couldn't control. That was how it started. From that day forward, they met more often. Always in secret. Alicia never pried, but she listened. Ella slowly began to open up, about the bruises, the controlling words, the fear, the nights she locked herself in the bathroom just to sleep in peace. And Alicia, strong, composed Alicia, found herself hurting for someone else in a way she never had before. Not out of pity, but something deeper. Protective. Intimate. Familiar. It was raining the night Alicia found Ella standing outside her apartment building, soaked, suitcase in hand, eyes red. I didn't know where else to go, she whispered. Alicia didn't ask questions. She took the suitcase, led her inside, gave her towels and tea. And for the first time, they sat on Alicia's couch not as CEO and employee's wife, but as two women holding onto something fragile. Ella stayed that night. And the next. Alicia gave her space, offered her the guest room, and never touched her without permission. But every day, they talked. They cooked together. They started to laugh, quietly, gently. And one night, as they sat side by side watching an old movie, Ella turned to Alicia and said softly, "I feel safe with you." Alicia looked at her, her heart tightening. "I'll always protect you," she replied. And meant it. They didn't kiss that night. Not yet. But they held hands. And Alicia felt the warmth of a beginning. Ella had been living with Alicia for nearly 3 weeks. At first, it was only meant to be temporary, just a few nights until she figured things out. But days turned into nights, and nights turned into mornings with warm tea and gentle smiles. And every passing hour in Alicia's apartment felt like a small act of healing. It was a new world for Ella, one where silence wasn't scary, where footsteps in the hallway didn't make her heart race. Alicia never raised her voice. Never asked for more than Ella could give. She gave her space. She gave her peace. She gave her time. They slept in different rooms. Alicia never crossed that boundary. But there were moments, quiet, lingering ones. Like the morning Ella found a sticky note on the fridge, "Breakfast is in the oven. I made those cinnamon rolls you said you loved." Or the evening Alicia came home late. Rain dripping from her coat, and Ella, without thinking, brushed the water from her face with her hands. Their eyes held just a little too long. Still, neither of them dared name it. Until the night the storm came. Thunder rattled the windows as Ella curled up on the couch, a blanket draped over her legs, watching the rain fall. Alicia sat across from her, quietly typing away on her laptop. It was past midnight. The city outside had gone quiet. Ella looked up. "Can't sleep?" Alicia gave a tired smile. "Deadlines." Ella stood, crossing the room. "You work too much," she said softly, taking the laptop from Alicia's lap and closing it gently. Alicia didn't stop her. Ella knelt beside the couch, her hands resting lightly on Alicia's knees. "You've given me so much. A home. Space. Kindness. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to," Alicia replied, her voice a little hoarse. "You being safe here, that's enough." There was a long pause. Then Ella whispered, "Can I stay with you tonight?" "Not in the guest room." Alicia's breath caught. "Are you sure?" Ella nodded. "I'm not afraid anymore." That night, they lay side by side on Alicia's bed, fully clothed, just two women breathing in the same rhythm. Ella reached out first, her fingers grazing Alicia's hand. I've never felt wanted before, she said quietly. I always thought love had to hurt. That being small made me safe. Alicia turned toward her. You are not small, Ella. You were just never seen clearly. Their hands interlaced. And then, slowly, like the sun rising over dark water, they kissed. It wasn't passionate or rushed. It was reverent. A promise. A beginning. Alicia's fingers brushed along Ella's cheek, careful and slow, like she was afraid to break her. Ella pulled Alicia closer, burying her face in her neck, whispering, I didn't know it could feel like this. Like home. 3 nights later, it all shattered. Alicia had come home late from a client meeting. Ella had fallen asleep on the couch, her head resting on a pillow Alicia had used the night before. The apartment was dim, the television still flickering softly. And the front door burst open. David. He stood in the doorway, soaked and furious. His eyes locked on Ella, sleeping, and Alicia, frozen. You, he growled. You're screwing my wife? Ella shot up, startled. David? How did you? I followed her, he spat. I knew something was going on. With you of all people? Alicia stood between them, calm but deadly. Get out. But David lunged. He grabbed Ella by the arm, yanking her violently. You think you can leave me and crawl into bed with your boss like some whore? Ella cried out in pain. That was the last moment Alicia stayed silent. She grabbed David by the shoulder and shoved him back, hard. Touch her again and I swear I'll make sure you rot. He raised his hand again. Alicia moved faster. She slammed her hand against the wall-mounted security alarm and the shrill sound echoed through the building. Neighbors opened their doors. Lights flicked on. David backed away, snarling. You'll regret this. No, Alicia said, pulling Ella behind her. You will. The police came within minutes. Alicia filed the complaint herself, not just as a witness, but as a CEO, a woman of power who knew how to make things move. Ella gave her statement, her voice shaking but steady. David was arrested that night. The evidence, bruises, photos, texts, was more than enough. Alicia's lawyers handled the rest. Ella never had to see him again. 1 year later. On a warm spring afternoon, Alicia stood in the garden behind her house, the one she had bought with Ella after they moved out of the apartment, dressed in a soft cream suit, her hands slightly trembling. Ella stood before her, in a gown that shimmered like morning light, holding a small bouquet of lavender and baby's breath. Their wedding was small. Just a few friends. A quiet celebration. But when Alicia slid the ring onto Ella's finger, her voice cracked with emotion. You made me believe love could be gentle. That I could be more than alone. That I could be yours. Ella's eyes were full of tears. And you gave me safety. You gave me breath again. You saved me. They kissed, not for the first time, not even the 100th, but this one felt like it echoed through time. Like it healed every broken version of themselves.